Welcome to another exciting edition of the Million Dollar Peddlers. I'm Paper Guy.
And I'm Mr. Magazine.
And to anybody new to the channel, I'm Paper Guy. I got a day job. I work out of my house. I've got about 40,000 items up between eBay and Amazon, and it's tough to do it by yourself.
And I'm Mr. Magazine with 500,000 items and a warehouse that is out of room at this point.
And it's tough to do it with 8 employees.
Well,
Or 10 employees,
15
or
employees at this point,
employees,
yeah.
Oh, so what are we talking about today? I'm kind of lost. I think I see a sign there. Maybe that'll give me a little bit of guidance there. Yeah. Oh, it does. Have you ever lost an item that you need to find? Just send out?
Every day. At least one, I believe. Yeah. And we're doing good if we lose one. I think that's a plus. Good
well,
day.
Now to anybody out there that says, "What? I've lost one item in a year," we probably should explain your situation. How long have you been listing stuff on eBay and Amazon?
20 plus years on eBay, 12 on Amazon, I think.
So you've got, well over 10 years worth of stuff listed, and you've got how many items up between the two sites? 500,000.
We're down about 450 now.
Okay,
eBay's doing a little shaving right now for us.
Right, nice of them, right? But even all the way through, you've had about 500,000 items up.
Yeah.
And you've got items that have been up for up to 10, 12 years in some cases.
Yeah, and they've been all over the eastern seaboard. They've been moved many times over those years.
Now, do you find that you tend to have items get lost more often if they're on Amazon or eBay, or is...
It's probably even mix. It's the older, the more likely they're going to get lost. That's what I'm going with.
And are they all lost because they're not in the box, or are they lost for other reasons?
They could be put in the wrong box, or the box have been moved and consolidated. Anything could happen at this point, or we could have sold an item, can't find it in the one box, and the replacement is in another box where they take it out of an old box to replace, but don't end the listing. That's another common one with older stuff, because we've had a couple managers over the years, and I think that's what was going on. To make things easy, they'd pull an item and not end it, just so they could save a sale.
Well, I'm even thinking back, especially on Amazon. I think that Amazon has different errors for the listers than eBay does. I think that some of your items get lost because they never actually were there.
Right.
Or they were there, but one of them was there.
A different version.
But two of them got listed because the same picture will come up twice in a row, and for some reason or other, this is on eBay, and the lister will not catch that they didn't change the picture.
Right.
And, so then I buy the January 1991 Time magazine, and you send it out, and then somebody else buys the next one, but it's got the same picture up.
Yeah.
Well, now, obviously, you don't have two of that inside the box.
Right, yeah, that happens more often than you'd think, yeah.
And then the Amazon, I think the problem on the Amazon side of things is way different, that a lot of items are listed without pictures.
Right.
And
different versions, especially for records, different versions and so forth. Yeah.
Let alone the Amazon ASIN merge, where they'll sit there and merge things together. And I've had it happen where I listed a comic book and they made it into a trade. Yeah. That happens regularly. Or, they think that these two items are the same. The other one that I had happen a few times, I listed Time magazines. Okay. Do you know who the publisher of Time magazines was at one point?
I should know this, but...
Time Life.
Okay.
What they did was they merged, and because they were both on the same publishing schedule, so there'd be, let's say, January 8th, 1963, January 15th, 1963, a Time magazine would come out, and a Life magazine would come out. They merged them together because people had listed it as Time Life as the publisher. Right. So all the Time magazines got merged into the Life magazine listings.
They really don't think about the repercussions of these changes they make.
So then here I am selling a January 15th, 1963 Life magazine when I listed a January 15th, 1963 Time magazine. Do you know how much time it takes to look for a Life magazine when you don't actually have it?
A lot of time. A lot of your life.
A lot of time. I see what you did there. I see what you did there. So here you are. You're looking around. Now, it isn't a case where it was an oversold or a double sold. It wasn't a case where it got merged together. It's a case where you actually feel that you have the item, but you cannot put your hands on it.
Right. The lister could have put it in a different box.
Okay.
So they're listing eBay and Amazon simultaneously.
Okay.
oops, or we call some scratch boxes that aren't in the system. They got to be done to scratch, or many possibilities.
So in that case, let's say that for people out there that don't know, Mr. Magazine will use a listing code like 010121 E whatever E173 but at that point you would then look into the 010121 box, Amazon box, listed by the same person.
First we'd look and see what the day it was listed, because that would always help in case they listed it wrong in the box or the code was wrong in the box too, and make sure it should match in this box. Everything matches, it should be there. If not, they got to look in boxes next to it. So it could be a timely process.
Right, and I've got a different numbering code. What I often do is, because I'm constrained by a house and I can't just add boxes and boxes and boxes. So when a box of mine gets down a little bit, that's where I then fill in. And a lot of times what I'll do is I'll say, okay, that box needs 3 booklets to fill in. This box needs 3 large size magazines to fill in. Right. This box needs 3 regular size magazines to fill in. Sometimes I forget to change the code. So what I'll do is I'll go on that day and I'll say, whoa, wait a minute. What other boxes did I list into on that day?
Yeah.
And often it's in there. Another problem, and this is a me problem, I didn't think this all the way through when I started doing my inventory. So if you were starting an inventory code, somebody actually had a really, really good idea in the comments back on a video way back when. And do comment down below with tricks that you use. He said what he does, and it's so simple that I can't believe I never thought of it. He simply just started with box 1. And he's at box 176 now, as opposed to...
That is pretty simple, yeah.
And it works, because my problem sometimes is I'll look and it'll say, oh, it's in E12, and I cannot find it. It turns out I put in EB12, which stands for eBay Books 12. Or I put in ES12, which stands for eBay Stuff 12.
Right.
So sometimes I forget to put the S. Had I done what the gentleman suggested, had I been starting out, I definitely would do it that way. And in box 176, it's just box 176. It's not eBay Book 176, Amazon 176. It's 176.
I think that would work well with one lister. So if you're just working out of your house or something, you're the only person listing. But when you get 10 listers or something, the date codes really help with a reference, because you're not going to have that date code on that box. So like you look it up on eBay, it was listed September 12th, 2014. All right, this is the box in this area. Instead of like, you'd have to track it down. Oh, it's box 184 maybe would be when it was listed, so.
Right, or you may have 2 different people, or people would just, I don't know that multiple people listing the same box number, not realizing.
Different items and, sure.
Yep. But for a one-man band, I think that's actually a really good idea. So if I were to start over again, to anybody just working on inventory system, pretty simple. Box 1, box 2, box 3. I mean,
would you change it and go one step further and say like comics, 1 COM?
See that, but that's kind of taken away from. That's what I do now,
right, okay.
And that's kind of taken away from just the simplicity of box 1, box 2, box 3.
Yeah, right. True. Yeah.
Something to be said for that. Any other tricks that you can think of?
I tell my employees, don't get too crazy looking for something. If I give them a certain time limit that they can invest in it.
And you're absolutely right there, because there's absolutely nothing wrong or nothing worse than when you're out there searching and you're saying, I've already got 20 minutes into a $10 item.
Yeah.
If I could search another 10 minutes and be guaranteed that I found it, I can accept that. But here's the problem.
But even then,
here's the problem. Yeah. I could search another 10 minutes and I might not find it. Now we've got half an hour in, and then 10 more, and all of a sudden you have an hour into a $10 item, and you don't find it, and you have to refund it at the end anyway.
Right, and then you're not paying yourself, and I consider myself cheap labor, even though I'm the owner of the company, because I'm not paying myself. So sometimes I'd like to get involved and say, hey, let me look for a few minutes. I've been here 20 years doing this. You've been here 2 years, so like I kind of know where some of the older stuff should be, hopefully. But yeah, I mean, it's. We had an issue last week where I had one employee, took it upon himself to start looking for an item,
which was positive.
Great. Yeah, that's great. And then he came back to his desk and tried to look it up and see what the picture looked like. It was a foreign Playboy magazine, which can be a little tricky because there's no English on the cover. And he couldn't find it in the box, so he knew it wasn't in there. Then he tried looking around it. Then he came back to his desk and looked for a replacement. Then he got the manager involved, and I was involved. And before you knew it, 30, 40 minutes went by on this between 3 employees. And I said, listen, I don't want to be a jerk boss, but we got to cut it out and give you a time limit. So say 6 minutes, let's just say 5-6 minutes. So then, because I look at it, that 30-40 minutes that he wasted looking for a $20 magazine, he could have listed $200 in items in that time period, and I could have just given the refund, or maybe we could have replaced it or something like that.
Or perhaps the buyer would have wanted a different item as well.
Right. So, like 5 minutes, if it's a $50 magazine and we know, we didn't double sell this, we only had one ever, it's somewhere, then I'll step in and say, hey, let me take a shot because, I do want to find this and save $50 for the company. But I tell them 5-6 minutes, don't get 3 employees involved because then it's getting crazy, and then be done with it and then give it to me in the, lost folder.
Well, what another little trick that I use, and I didn't used to do this, I used to do really bad listings, and I would just list stuff very, very quickly and get stuff on.
Yeah.
Lately, I've been actually regularly listing. I don't necessarily do it with a magazine because I know what size a Time magazine is. I know what size a Life magazine is. And most buyers do as well on those kind of things. But if I'm listing like kids' books, things like that, I may not list on a Little Golden book because people know what size a Little Golden book is.
Right.
But if you're listing oddball kids' book, et cetera, I put the size in. And I find that helps tremendously because then I'll go and I'll say, okay, it's supposed to be in box 17. Mm-hmm. It's 9 by 12. I don't have to go through the little small things because it's 9 by 12. It's going to be sideways in the box because you can't fit a bank. You have to turn it sideways in a banker box. Now I know it's going to be sideways in a banker box, and maybe it isn't in 12. Maybe somehow or other it got put in a box around. It got put in 11.
Right.
But at least then I'm looking for a lot fewer items in the box.
Makes sense. Yeah.
That definitely helps. And let me tell you real quick. Look at the pictures when you try to find it, because one of the biggest time sinks possible, and I know you've had this happen to you too, you've seen it 100 times, you know exactly what it looks like.
Oh, yeah.
So you're looking for a red book that's this size. It turns out it's a blue book that's twice the size because that wasn't really what you were looking for. Yeah. And so you walk right by it. You literally probably had it in your hand, moving it out of the way because you're looking, okay, I know this has a picture of Michael Jackson, a real pic. No, it has a drawing of Michael Jackson because you're thinking of the wrong book.
Exactly.
Whereas if you looked at the picture first, that will help tremendously. So there is absolutely no bigger time sink than knowing what you're looking for when it's not really what you're looking for.
Another word of advice is happening to me many, many times is if you have something in a location for a long period of time,
don't move it.
Leave it there. I've had items for 10 years. I'm like, it really doesn't belong here. Let me put it where it does belong. And I move it somewhere from my shop or to the warehouse. And then a year later it sells and I go to the original area and it's not there. Then I forgot where I put it. It's just crazy. So, leave it be.
So do hit the like button. We would appreciate that. Do comment down below on various tricks that you use because, again, like I said, if I were starting over again, I would simply use the box 1, box 2, box 3 as a small seller.
Sure.
And as you said, you can't possibly do it as a large seller. Right. But as a small seller, that is a very, very good idea because I went and I overcomplicated everything by doing exactly what, comics box, these box, that box.
Yeah.
Why did I do that? I guess I'm thinking about this out loud, I guess the only reason why you wouldn't want to do the numbering box in a row, I think it works tremendously if you have standard size boxes. That being said, let's say box 4 is a comic box.
Yeah.
Well, now I've got 3 bankers, a comic, 2 bankers, a magazine, a banker, tote. And then, because you kind of want to have the boxes as best in order as you possibly can, so that way you can go and go, where's box 7? It's probably next to box 6. So I guess that would be a little bit of a caveat, would be if you're using all different size boxes, it may not work so well for stacking and storage reasons.
Right.
But if you're using standard size boxes, certainly just start with 1.
Well, another problem down the road is if you ever get to like box 1 million, you're writing a lot of digits down.
That is very
true. So you're going to waste more time and more ink. So you might have to change it up and get something simpler.
I hadn't thought of that.
See that? I'm always looking.
I got
big goals.
You are looking far down the road, my friend.
Goals.
Far down the road. All righty. Hit the like button and we will see you next video.
Take care. Bye-bye.